make sure we bring some people that's going to give you some heat, all right? So I know for a fact we got some great panelists. So come to the stage, and I'm going to introduce them first because I know I'm a food and beverage stage manager at Hollywood Land, Disney, California, Adventure Park. Please give it up for a brother that drops gems all the time, and I done paid attention to him on Instagram. Give it up for brother Princeton Parker. Give it up, make some noise, make some noise. Next coming to the stage, I gotta show some love to this brother because some of y'all don't know, but I've worked in K through 12 as a school counselor at one point in my life, and it's always fun. But sometimes dealing with the professionals that piss you off, boy. The professionals in the K through 12. Oh man. But anyways, please give it up for school counselor and administrator R.J. Washington. Give it up for this brother. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Oh man. Look, I didn't. Man. Okay. This brother, look, he coming in hard. All right. So as I look at. And I looked at this before, but to look at it again, I don't know a lot of people that look like me that use the word aerospace in what they do. So I want you to pay attention to this young man. Make sure afterwards, if you get an opportunity, make sure you connect with all the panelists. But please give it up for Senior VP of Aerospace and Defense Group with Wells Fargo. Give it up for Kendall Simmons. Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. All right, now, some of y'all in this room, you may have had the opportunity. My bad, y'all. My pants all slim, so I got to stretch them out a little bit, y'all. I don't wear the baggy boys no more. I'm trying to, make sure I'm loose up here. But, oh, who got some? Oh, I give you that heat. Who said something? Give you that heat now. All right. But somebody I was talking to, their breath smell like they neck to the dump or something, man. Who's that? Oh, that's you? Okay, I'm coming to get you later. But let's get into this, y'all. Let's get it real. Because we gotta have fun, but we also gotta get serious. So I'm getting ready to play a video for you all, which I think is important because some of y'all may have seen this video on television, maybe on social media, but it's important for us to watch this video as we get ready to get into some serious dialogue. So let's pay attention to this video, and then we'll rock and roll. Here we go. Quiet down, pay attention to the video, pay attention to the video. So, how many of y'all in this room have felt that experience before? And raise your hand. Somebody looking at you just because you look a little bit different. Raise your hand high. This is yes, because I'm a little musty this afternoon. Yes. Okay. All right. Say more. Anybody? Say more. Say more. Anything. Stand up for me. Stand up for me.
So it's like, basically, like, I feel like going to places, like, for example, like the store and stuff, even though, like, I'm an everyday customer, I feel like they have eyes on me and stuff, just because I'm teen and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't walk in with anything or really wrong, but I still have like all eyes on me. And I'm gonna do something wrong or still something. That's the push.
Gotcha. Anybody else? Go ahead, stand up. Speak loud too.
It's kind of like I'm told by my parents not to bring a backpack in stores, not to bring my hood in stores because they can see when the cashier or somebody is looking at me walk through the store, even like 7-Eleven. Sometimes I just walk in there and I'm just looked at the whole way through and stuff.
No. On this side, anybody? I like to pick on folks. Go ahead. Stand up and speak loud for me, please.
So it was like, I was at a festival for my foreign language class, and as we like watching the parade go, I like turned to my side, and there's these ladies, and they're just like, they're looking at me, they're just judging me because I had like the little emblems on my shirt to help represent, and then like just be a part of it, and they're just looking at me like, why is he here? Why does he have to just like be in our space and stuff like that?
So last one in the back. Go ahead. Speak loud, please.
It was me and my grandpa.
Speak loud.
It was me and my grandpa. We went to Glendale, and we went to McDonald's there. And the whole McDonald's nothing but white people. As soon as I was the first person to walk in, like everybody looked at me like that. And after when I walked past, it was this white lady with her kids. They like hurried up and went to the back. So like that was my experience. I was like, what's going on? I've never experienced it. But my grandpa told me, just keep walking forward. Don't look at nobody. Do what you gotta do.
Love it. So I'm gonna bring it to the panel before we jump into this. I want them to also answer. What I want you to do is just introduce yourself briefly, and with 30 or 45 seconds, just speak to who you are, but also your experience, like that young man in the video. We'll start here with you first.
What's up, everybody? How y'all feeling this afternoon? My name is Princeton. I get to work for an incredible company just by chance. Probably might only be two of y'all, but who's heard of Disney before? Oh, bet. I thought so. For sure. I get the chance to work for Disney, an incredible company, specifically the Disneyland Resort, and I'm a manager there. I started as a manager when I was 22, and so that's what I get to do, as well as being a national speaker for the company as well. In terms of my experience with the look, I think it's crazy we're having this conversation because one of the key places where I experienced this was actually my first time in college, where I wasn't an athlete, and that was the assumption that if you were black on the campus of the University of Southern California, you must have gotten here by virtue of a ball, because that's the only way you could have gotten in. But what I want to share with you is it wasn't just the way people looked at me, it was the way that I felt the first time I sat in a classroom and felt like everybody in that room was more prepared for that experience than I was. And that's where I learned the key that I want to share with you, that it's not necessarily all the time about how people look at you, but the way that you look at you. My mentor told me that confidence is the process of what you confide in yourself, what you say to yourself about yourself, that gives you the stand to be able to, what your grandpa said, which was stay in your lane, do what you gotta do. So what I'll leave you with is, I want you to repeat this after me. What you say to yourself about yourself for those moments where you don't feel like you fit in, I want you to say this, say, I'm supposed to be here.
I'm supposed to be here.
Say it with a little bit more confidence. Say, I'm supposed to be here.
I'm supposed to be here.
You're going to carry that with you when you go to college, when you go to your job. You're going to say what?
I'm supposed to be here.
And that's got to be in you when you do it with the look.
I love it. Come on, give it up now. Give it up.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen. Just want to say hello to you all. I'm an educator here in the Los Angeles area. I work in middle schools and high schools all around the city, and just have a lot of experience supporting youth, and I'm here to support you guys today. You know, I can relate to that experience. There was a time I used to work at a department store, many of you may have heard of, called Nordstrom's. I can remember a time I was headed into work. I was a stock clerk, and security was following me, and you know, I walked, I'm going all the way to the back, and all for them to realize they're thinking I'm in there, and I guess they made me feel like they thought I was going to steal something, but I was actually in there for a job that I had at Nordstrom's, and you know, really offended me. But what I tried to do was let that be a motivator for me. I was like, man, I just can't wait to get back to school after this summer job and make sure I take care of my business and get my degree, you know. And fast forward to maybe in my late 20s, I flipped a property and probably had just a lot of financial resources in my pocket. I said, let me go back in here and go shopping and really let these people know that they had the wrong one, you know. And I want you guys to take those experiences and let them motivate you to achieve success in this world, you know, and then just, you know, go back and, you know, with that bag and stun them, you know, or invest in something else and just continue to show them that you know how to shine and you know how to not let things like that impact you in a negative way.
Man, I love it. I love it. Give it up. Give it up. You're killing with success. You're killing with success. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. So my name is Kendall Simmons, and it's tough to follow the act here. I'd say that video is my life every day, right? I wake up, I live in a predominantly white area in Pasadena. I drive a nice car. I go in to go shopping, to travel abroad, and especially when you go into the office, people don't realize what you do. When you're one of 2 senior vice presidents in Southern California, and so when you walk into an office and people are looking at you on the street, judging the way you talk, the way you dress, assuming you're supposed to be a certain way, but don't realize you might be running a large part of a corporation. Right? And I think Princeton, both of you hit it. If you walk in and let someone else dictate who you are going to be, you're setting yourself up for failure. Right? I have 3 young boys, and the first thing I tell them when they wake up is that you have to own the day. Right? I was a collegiate athlete, so I went to school at UC Berkeley. I'm driving my kids up today to show them what a college experience is about. But when we're there, they need to understand that it wasn't my athletics that got me there.
Yes, sir.
Right? I maintained a 4.0. When we were talking about money, right? If you heard the doctor, if you're not asking the colleges and universities to fund your education, then you're missing your opportunity. It goes back to what RJ said, right? You have to own it. You have to walk in and say, look, I deserve to be here. Colleges and universities, you need me because in your room, there's not too many people that look like me. So when you think about that video, if you let other people, like you think of when he goes in the restaurant, right? Husband and wife walk the other way. He goes to the pool. My kids dominate the swim team. And everyone looks at him like, you shouldn't be able to swim because you're black. If you let them put the stigma in you, you're defeating yourself. So you have to start every day by owning it, right? We can talk more about it as we get in the panel, but think about that.
I love it. Give it up. Give it up. Come on, man. Keep going. Right? So one of the things that I want us to begin to think about is how we've been set up to operate and move the way that we move. And it's not just the way that other people see us, but it's how we internalize what we've been taught. And I want you to understand that for so long, if you look at the history for black and brown men, what happens is we've been told to just, it'll be okay, stay humble. How many of y'all heard that? Be humble, right? Right? Nowadays, I say don't be humble, right? People need to know what you do, and people need to know how great you are. And that don't mean be rude about telling them how great you are, but what happens is when you don't tell folks who you are, when you don't show the confidence that you have, right? Because some of y'all in this room, I can walk up to you now, I'll have a conversation, you won't even look at me now, you do this. That tells me something about you. You're not comfortable with a man speaking to you in your face, right? Now, if somebody get ready to fight, maybe you'll turn up, but in a regular conversation every day, right? Our confidence has been taken from us. And we come from greatness.
Yes, sir.
We come from kings. If you are of God, you're going to win automatically, right? But then that's not the only thing, because many people told us, you know what? You got to be quiet, stay quiet. Don't speak your mind. And what happens, we go into the classroom, we feel like we need to ask a question, or we feel like we have our point of view, but we be scared to say it. Why? Because we've been taught to, easy, relax, chill out. It's time for your voice to be heard. You don't need to be quiet. And then y'all play it safe too much. Very simple. This is the time where they talk about the issues with police brutality and how many black and brown men are being killed. This is the time for one of us to rise. This is the time for us to challenge the system. This is the time for us to say, it's our turn now. And it's okay if you come from no money, if your family ain't had a lot, right? If maybe you've been an athlete your whole life and you really haven't done anything, it's okay, but it's now time to be what I call a chameleon and show them how versatile you can be. You got it. So we're gonna jump into some things today with this panel. And the first thing I want to get into is this idea of hustle and grind. How many of y'all heard hustle and grind? How many of y'all hear that time? Man, I'm on my hustle. Man, I'm grinding, dog. Right? So I'm gonna come right over here. And I'm gonna come right here to you. One, because I used to be a school counselor at one point. So it's much love here.
I like this topic too.
Yes, indeed. And I heard you might be, it say school counselor, but you also said you flipped homes, you went back, you know. So I want you to touch this. When you hear that, what do you think about?
So it's so I love this topic, hustling and grinding. When I hear this topic, I know a lot of people traditionally think about the streets, illegal activity. That's what it means. A lot of the rap music that I love myself, and I know you guys follow as well, we define hustling, grinding as being on the streets, selling drugs, or doing something that's illegal. And I want to push you guys in your thinking to understand that when you in those books, when you in the library, when you online doing research, you hustling, you're grinding. You're grinding hard. When you achieving in a college or university or in your high school, when you getting academic awards and acknowledgments, that's grinding. When you're trying to achieve a goal, that's your grind. You are grinding. You are hustling for a better tomorrow, to achieve something, to get your degree. When you're hustling to get a license or a certification for a career so you can make more money, that's grinding. That's hustling. And I don't want any of you guys to ever forget that. For the rest of your life, that's a part of grinding and hustling, and that's what it's about. So it's more than just what a song may say it is. My favorite song is a song you guys have probably never heard of, but it's called Grinding by, what is, man, I feel it. The Clips.
Yeah.
That's my song right there. I want y'all to look that song up, YouTube that song. And the song talked about some illegal activity, but I flipped that song when I was younger. I made that song represent what I wanted it to represent. And for me, grinding meant I'm taking care of my business so I can have success in life. So really think about that, guys.
I love it, man. Appreciate that. Any thoughts on hustling and grinding in the audience? Any thoughts on that? Anybody? I'm gonna come out here to y'all to see if I have any questions or any comments, anything. Let's keep this thing rocking then. Right, so we think about the hustling and the grinding, but you know, the reality is a lot of times we hear it and we hear these words, dreaming, right? Once again, I said earlier, dream big, follow your dreams, but dreaming and succeeding. And so I'm coming to you, Brother Princeton. When you think of dreaming and succeeding, because I know, is the slogan at Disney where dreams are, what is it? Am I wrong?
Where dreams come true.
Where dreams come true, right? So what comes to mind when you see dreaming and succeeding?
So I think about something very specific when I think about dreaming, and it's this simple question: what do you see? When you imagine your life, when you imagine yourself in the future, when you imagine what's possible, what do you see? Is it limited to just where you live? Is it limited to just the things that you've already done? What do you see? The whole premise of the Walt Disney Company is that there was a man named Walt Disney who, before anything else, he went out to a city called Anaheim, and before it was the Disneyland resort that we know it to be today, it was orange groves. So it was a field full of oranges, and there was somebody who looked at oranges and said, I can see that being something different. So the beginning of dreaming is for you to look at something that doesn't exist yet and see what it can be. Be like, you know what? Nobody in my family has made $1 million, but I can see it. No one has graduated in my family yet, but I can see it. Nobody has ever built something on the scale that I want to build, but I can see it. So the first is, what do you see? You can't have what you first don't see. So the succeeding part then comes in the answer to this question, which is, how much are you willing to commit to developing what you see? Because the difference between what you see and what is your investment in it. I can tell how successful someone is going to be by the extent to which they're willing to put in the effort to do it. Well, how do I do that? Just a few things. The first is sight, and the second is sound. Everybody say sight, and sound. So what do I see? Now, I've got to keep putting that in front of my mind. So I want to make sure I put examples. That's why this panel is so amazing, because now I might have never thought I could be a senior vice president, but now I see one. So now what I see in my mind that's not invisible has now attached to something I can see. So sight, we are the product of sight and sound. Now, not only do I see it, but I'm going to replay it in my ear. I'm going to make sure that everything I'm listening to, everything I watch, the songs, the advice I take, lines up with what I'm trying to get. Now, when that affects my habits, that's how you go from dreaming to succeeding.
Any of y'all meet folks where they always say, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. Y'all know people like that? Yeah. Right? Procrastinate. That's what's coming to mind when I hear Brother Princeton talk about that. Like, what is the investment? What are you going to do differently, right? So I love you. Thank you for that. Now, I'm coming to this young man here. Question for you. Do you have any businesses or do stuff outside of... I know the answer, and I haven't even asked you, but I just, from your energy, so what is that? And the reason why I ask you that is because I know oftentimes, there's oftentimes an argument of an entrepreneur, quit your job. Just sometimes you work and you have a lot on the side. It's okay, right? You do what works best for you. So I knew that. You can't be doing what you're doing and only be doing it. I knew that. So when you think of entrepreneurship, even though you're there doing what you do, what comes to mind?
Yeah, I'm going to switch it back real fast and say, you guys are in a position of power. Because when I was your age, I didn't have the access to doctors like this, panelists like this, in a forum where you could be among your peers and ask questions. And I think of Nipsey Hussle when I think of grinding, entrepreneurship. He basically took a paradigm and put it on his head. Because basically everyone said, black rapper, can't do nothing. And he basically said, no, I can rap, but I'm also going to own my label, and I'm going to take all the proceeds, and then I'm going to take that and flip it and buy some real estate, and then employ the people in my neighborhood and get them to work. And so we're starting to cycle our own money. So when you ask me what do, my parents were immigrants from the Caribbean, West Indies, St. Kitts and Nevis. So I'm first generation. So to make it here, I had to find a way to hustle. And we, basically my parents were like, you got to have 5 jobs. I don't care about one, you need 5. So while I have my day job, I use that to fund my other life activities. So I just started going back to school. I'm 41, I'm going back to school because there's things that I don't know. I'm learning how to do real estate investment and development. So I just started a small company, and we're buying assets in the South to put homes for African Americans, and then we can take those dollars and recycle them.
Tell them what assets are, just so they know. If you don't know, I'm assuming everybody.
Thank you. I apologize. It stopped me any time along the way. Assets is whether you're living in an apartment, right? When you're living in a house, it's something that you own, right? And the thing that has been hurting African Americans is they've taken away our ability to own, right? When you own something, you're the landlord, right? You're the one who has the possession. And I think we need to start changing our mindset from grinding, right, and paying someone else money to actually owning something and generating our own money. Right? The other things I do, I find opportunities. I saw 2 people up here rhyming. One of them blew into the mic. I had to crack up. But the point is, look, that was you. The point is, look, if you have those skills, you can turn them in different ways. If I saw that, I would say, look, and I would hire you to come and do sales and marketing.
I can do that too.
Right? Like, you have skills. Like, it's all about how you want to take and harness your assets, your skill sets, and make them work for you.
I love it. Come on, give it up for that. And I hope that you see that he said that he's taking, in a sense, his day job money to help him fund what he's doing outside of that, right? And so that don't mean that you're going to be an entrepreneur and just work for yourself. You may have to start working for somebody at first, and then you create the opportunity for yourself. But I got to go into this last one, and if there's any questions out here, any comments? What's your question? Go ahead, Ace.
So my name is Ryan Beecham. I'm coming from King Drew Medical High School, LAUSD.
Hold on. Did y'all just see how he got up and said, my name is, right? Some of y'all be like, my name is, I'll be like, no, come on, bro. So whenever you get in front of a room, in front of people, whether it's one person or thousands of people, speak like this so they know who you are. Appreciate that, Ace. Well, that's not his government.
Right. Ryan Beecham.
Ryan Beecham.
So for all of you guys, I heard a few people mention investing. I know that there's different types of investing: stock investing, bond investing, real estate investing. How would you guys say that we should prepare ourselves now in high school to be able to either fund our investment or learn a little bit more financially to be able to pursue such things?
I love it. Anybody? I love that.
I'll start by addressing that. So one of the first things you can do as you guys are moving on to college, and a lot of you guys are getting ready to go into school, is make good financial decisions in terms of protecting your credit. So you guys are going to go on to college, you guys are becoming young adults, you have to make good decisions with your own individual credit now. Like, you're no longer just a child of your parents. You guys are on your own. Your social security number and everything connected to that is very important. You guys, no matter what you major in, you can take classes to educate yourself at your school, or you can do research individually. I was a psychology major in college, but I was a member of the Morehouse Business Association, and I used to just continue to educate myself. So I was so eager to start to get a job and save money and invest in real estate when I first got out of college. It was like, it was already on my mind, you know, and so that's just, you know, one of the different ways you can start preparing. And then, you know, you can look into all those different avenues. You can talk to different people. Be open to go to symposiums on things that may not be what your career focuses on. It could be on something else, but you can still educate yourself on all these different things in the world, you know. So that's just one way to take advantage of that, okay?
Yeah. All right, Ace. I work with a couple kids at Vernon Day, and one of the things I tell them is, you know, the first thing you have to do is you set up your own savings account. Right? Start taking, I don't care what job you do. I used to cut lawns, deliver newspapers, and take a little bit of portion of that money and save it. And then the other thing, and he probably hit on it, is you got to read, right? Read and do exactly what you just did and ask questions. If you see someone that has a house, has a business, I'll just go up and ask them, how did you do this, right? And then take that step by step. And then the other thing is, right now you have the opportunity with your education, right? Like, one of the things I'm doing with the kids from Verb is I'm teaching them how to use Microsoft Office products. So if you have access to Microsoft Excel, start learning how it works, because I guarantee when you get to college, they're going to expect you to understand how to use these systems, right?
Could we just throw one last thing on that? I think one of the things that we have to do is, as young men, I mentioned that I'm 25, and I like to come at it from a different perspective, because I'm somewhere in the middle between where you are and where these gentlemen are, right? So they've made some really incredible decisions. I'm not far removed from where you are. Here's one of the big things we have to learn how to do. We have to learn, while we're our age, how to make long-term decisions versus short-term decisions. And if we haven't fixed that first, then we will always throw away the resource that we could be storing up to set ourselves up for what they're saying. So what we have to get good at this stage in our life is being able to say, you know what? I don't necessarily need to have the flyest pair of J's right now. I don't necessarily need to stunt just because I have this amount of money. We got to look at what is my long-term goal and how can I develop that discipline to say no in the short term so that I can save. Because sometimes we have the resources, we're just so quick to use them. I love what Dr. RJ said. He said he didn't go stunt in Nordstrom's the day they looked at him like that.
Right.
He went and handled his business first, and then when he had it, he went back to stunt. And so that is one of the best things that we can do from a behavioral standpoint, is to become comfortable with making long-term decisions like that savings, so that by the time I finally get the knowledge on where to send that money, I know I got it to invest with.
I love that. I love it. And I love that you just said that, because, you know, a lot of us, we spend time buying things and getting things to impress people that don't really care about us, right? So and then a lot of us, we know we can afford. You know how many people I know, they got a Mercedes, or they got a nice little Range, or something slick, but you got a roommate, or you live with your mama. That don't make no sense to me. It makes 0 sense, right? It ain't about impressing nobody else. It's about making sure, what I call, you tap fully into your purpose. But also, you know, moving from this, you can't do none of that without a brotherhood. Having people in your life that can help you move forward. How many of y'all in this room would say you have at least 5 people in your life that you can go to? Like, hard, like, no doubt, you got 5 people. Not like, maybe. How many think you got? About 3. Yeah, mama. How many of y'all feel like you still trying to find those individuals that can be a part of your circle? Be real, right? And sometimes we relieve some individuals that are so-called on our team to bring somebody else in, the same way they do in professional teams. So this brotherhood, you all, when you think about brotherhood, and I'm paying attention to time, We got to be out of here in a few. And when you think about brotherhood, what comes to mind for you all? Because I know y'all ain't get to where you are by yourselves. Anybody?
I'll start talking about brotherhood. When I think about brotherhood, I think about your network. So, going on to college right now is going to strengthen your long-term network. And that's really what I think about. Like, what you do right now and the people that you interact with in this age of, I'm going to assume a lot of you guys are 17 going on 18, the people that you interact with. 18.
Did we go out?
Yeah, we lost.
Speak loud.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, cool. We got it back. Yeah, the people that you associate with between 18 and your early 20s, they're going to play a big role in your success in this world. That's going to be your brotherhood. That's going to be your network. So I really just encourage you guys to make good decisions in the people that you associate with, okay? Build your relationships. Build your network. You guys are going on to college. Go on to college. Make new relationships and connections during that age group with the people that you're around. They may be your future lawyer. They may be your future doctor, your future business partner, investment partner, and things of that kind of just a future resource to connect you to a lawyer or your business partner or anything like that. So really start thinking about the people that you associate with as you guys continue to grow, get mature right now. Thank you.
I know we got a couple of questions, so I do want to take a few, and I know we all kind of want to get to that, but I want to take some. Stand up. What's your question? Stand up. Say your name and your question really quickly.
Hello. I'm from Dallas, so Karen K. I'm from King Drew as well. My question is for anybody up there. While you guys were hustling and grinding, what were the roadblocks that put a pause on it, and how did you get through it?
Anybody?
I'll share some of mine. The first one is, and I don't know if anybody can relate to this, where you have problems and you don't know even where to begin on how to solve those problems. And more so, they're about resources. Like, I used to wonder, how does everybody know where to find this except me? Like, how does everybody know how to get access to money? How does everybody know where classes are? How does everybody know about all these opportunities? And so one of the ways that I was able to overcome that roadblock is that I didn't know what, but I learned to know who. And so there are some critical people that you should be very close with in your college experience that will help clarify some of that. The first is your college counselor. The counselor who is able to, much like high school, let you know, hey, you need this, this, and this in order to create the experience that you want. The second is having a mentor, which was somebody who I could call when I had these problems and say, I've never experienced this before, help me navigate, like, where do I go next? So the biggest roadblock for me was, why does everybody know where the access is to opportunity, to resources? And I learned that when you don't know what, at least find out who, and be comfortable asking those questions and building, like was already said, those relationships to give you that clarity.
I love it.
Hey, can I piggyback on that real fast?
Absolutely. We have maybe about 10 minutes, so really quickly, and then we're going to take one last question, and we'll close it out because we have to do one activity. So go ahead.
Yeah. Just your question about roadblocks, I would say use your failure as a learning experience, because I think you're only going to grow by failing. I remember when I was 16, 17, and I was trying to get my first internship, and I was declined. And they said, we found another candidate. And I went to my second one, and they're like, no, you're declined, we found somebody else. Don't know if it was based on the color of my skin or just my background, but I didn't get either of those jobs. Rather than giving up, I started asking questions. What am I doing wrong? I didn't know how to tie a tie. I didn't have a tie. I didn't have a suit. I was showing up in jeans and a t-shirt to interviews, right? And then finally I got a mentor that walked me through and basically said, look, and I think the doctor said it at the beginning, you gotta be a chameleon, right? When you're running up against a challenge, if you're asking people for money to trust you, you have to show up ready for the game. Right? You can't show up like you're talking to your boys or going to the street. You actually have to be prepared. So ask the questions, get prepared, and find out the information. And don't take failure as an obstacle. Take it as a learning experience.
Yeah, I love that you said that. My first couple interviews out of college, I had one outfit that I got from the Salvation Army. I went to like 5 different interviews, but I went. All right. Last question, because we got to close out. We want to do this activity. Any last question? I'm gonna give it back to the panel. Any last question? Go ahead. What's your name?
Sergio Soto.
Sergio, what's up, man?
I go to Duke High School. I wanted to ask you a question. When it came to Berkeley, how did that play into your career in aerospace?
Yeah, I'll say we can take this one offline, but it was a long process. So I didn't go from Berkeley to aerospace. I went from Berkeley. It goes back to the roadblock question. I was playing soccer. I was trying to play professionally. Went abroad. It didn't work out, and I didn't know what to do. So then I started applying to different programs. Went back to school, and then from graduate school, ended up finding a way into finance and then into aerospace. But I can tell you more about it later.
There you go. Listen, we only got a few minutes, but I want to make sure. Okay, I'm going to give these panelists, you got 25 seconds. And when I start walking towards you, I said 35 to 45 last time, y'all kept it going. But I'm going to shut it down this time. You got 25 seconds. Drop one last gem on this audience for me, please. Anybody?
I would just say, guys, I want you to be willing to go over and beyond in whatever it is you want to invest in. We talked about the dreaming and taking dreaming to succeeding, just making sure that you're really taking the steps to achieve your goals. It's great to know that you have a goal or have a dream, but what are you really doing every day to achieve them, and making sure you're taking time to consciously think about that on a daily basis. What am I doing to achieve my goals? And if I'm not doing the things I need to, what do I need to do to make some changes in my life? Being always open to adjustments and changes in your life to achieve your goals.
I love it. Give it up, give it up, give it up.